The city is filled with destruction and eeriness. In front of a complex building stood an abandoned military tank with dents, blood stain and scratches covering its body. Just a few feet behind the tank we hear noises and see a feet wobbling unsteadily forwards. The feet is covered thick with dried-up black blood as it moves forward unsteadily. We see that those feet belong to a woman, or what appears to be a woman, with a disheveled hair, pale skin and a budging stomach, emitting incomprehensible growling sounds from her mouth. As she stumbles forward in a gown dress that is covered with both dried-up black blood and so much filth that the color has become unrecognizable. A closer look on her reveals a grotesque face covered with black dried blood and dirt. In her open mouth we see terrifying saw-like teeth with saliva dripping from the mouth as she emits angry and pain-filled growls. From beneath her, something drops heavily to the ground and we see it to be a baby. A newborn that has just been delivered. But there are no reactions to be seen from the disheveled-looking woman as she continues walking, thereby dragging the newborn along with the placenta still connecting them both together. The baby opens its mouth to cry, but the sound heard is a blood-curdling, unsettling growl likened to a wounded beast rather than a newborn baby's first cries. Amidst the child-looking creature's blood-curdling cries, a foot walks up and steps on him, thereby slipping and falling to the ground. The newly emerged owner of the foot looks just like the woman and the baby, with pale gray skin, pupilless white eyes and terrifying-looking face. The man falls to the ground and we see that he is wearing a vest that very much belongs to that of the police. Just as the man falls, there is an explosion that rocks the area, shaking the ground. The falling man feels no pain as he immediately turns his head towards where the sound of the explosion had come from. We also see the disheveled-looking woman also turn towards the sound. There is a building in the distance on fire with thick black smoke billowing out from it. Within no time, the woman with a baby hanging below her and the cop jacket wearing man starts walking unsettling towards the house on fire at the far end of the street. Just after them, we see others who look just like them. Disheveled and terrifying looking start moving unsteadily towards the end of the street. In no time the streets where the building is located is covered with bloodstains, cracked walls with shattered and destroyed windows. The streets below are filled with so many of these people who are neither human nor ghost, neither dead nor alive, but rather the walking undead. These people have become zombies. In a mass drove they gather below a high-rise building, raising their claw-filled hands towards the apartment on fire with smoke billowing out of it above. Inside of the apartment building, we see a young man lying on the ground while covering his head with his hands. As he gets up from the ground while saying that it seems that the explosion has stopped and wonders if this was a good thing. Up on his feet, he starts off running and complains that someone else's gas might explode again soon. He is in a hurry to find the city map as there are several refugee camps in the city. So he needs to bring a map with him as he is going to need it to locate them. On his frantic dash across the room, he steps on a piece of clothes that makes him slip and crashes face first to the floor. Lifting up his foot to check if his toe had been stomped, he shouts out no and cries while asking why. He limps up and hurriedly starts looking for a bandage as he needs to escape. A little search after and he finds both the bandage and the city map. As he holds both, he exclaims that he's got it, and besides the map he's holding contains the locations of the refugee camps. Picking up some books, he stuffs them all into his backpack as he thinks that he can use them and that they will come in handy later. Tying up his shoes tightly, he wraps his arm with some of the books he had picked up just now, and with the bandage, he fastens them in place, slinging the backpack on his back. He had also constructed a makeshift spear which hung too on his backpack. With a determined look, the moment has finally come and he stands and looks out through the window, looking prepared. As this is his first step towards the future and he has finally taken the first step of a 2,000-kilometer journey. He quickly lowers the blankets that had been made into a rope by him some time before. As the smell of gas is getting stronger, he tugs on the blanket rope to feel its sturdiness as the materials look to be strong enough. And besides, the zombies in the vegetable garden below are not many. Taking a step back, he sees from the corner of his eyes a photograph on the drawer besides the bed. He moves quickly to pick it up. On it is a picture of himself and a girl who appears to be his girlfriend. Tearing the photo into two, he throws off the part depicting the girl as he says screw her and that he wants to go home. Besides, he prays that she is fortunate. Taking a deep breath, he thinks for his mom to hold on and that he is going to find her soon. With a heart hanging on his throat, he steps out of the window shakily with fear apparent on his person. He thinks to himself that the rope knot is quite strong, and besides he had made no prior preparations. Just a few climbs down and his hands were already weak, threatening to give up on him. Our boy urges himself to keep up and persist with cold sweat pouring off his face. All of a sudden an explosion occurs in the apartment building, burning and snapping the blanket rope that he is using to climb down. With no leverage to hold on to, our boy plummets straight towards the ground as the ground opens its embrace to welcome him. While on his free fall, he thinks to himself that he should have just jumped as he knew that he was going to fall to his death. As our young survivor falls from the window, remembers the time before the apocalypse began. Life had been just as it has always been, with people moving about their daily businesses. We see that on the top of a shopping mall there's a large television screen that is broadcasting some news. The news anchor says that scientists have found the largest sunspot in history, and so far they have observed 10 solar flares, and that it may lead to global blackouts. But the radiation is harmless to the human body and the Earth's environment. He continues that the radiation of solar flares has a great influence on the communication and broadcasting signals, and countries are advised to take corresponding measures. We see a group of people heading down the subway tunnel. And before the train, people are boarding the train with others going out. Inside of the train, a young man is seen watching the news on his phone, with the news anchor asking a guest professor that he has once mentioned that humans will experience a sixth extinction. And the professor answers saying, yes, that a large-scale cluster extension has a definite periodicity time of about 62 million years. And besides, from the first 5 extinctions that humans are most familiar with is the extinction of the dinosaurs, and that the 6th one is very likely to be related to humans. The news anchor then asks the professor that he had once said that the Earth will regularly wipe out a few species, to which the professor answers saying yes, that the extinction of species is the Earth getting rid of things that it doesn't need, just like how the body resists viruses by killing bacteria. And then continues on by saying that it is likely that a small event such as the extinction of bees will trigger a domino or butterfly effect. At a high-end club, in the control room, we see a group of men, with one of the men who appears to be a security guard looking at the surveillance footage. He calls out to a man nearby, telling him that there's someone near the shop who is acting strangely. The man replies asking him what they were doing, to which the security guard tells him that he will play back the surveillance video so that he could watch it and see for himself. In the video, we see a young man sneaking up while taking off his clothes. He puts on a new set of clean suit before bending over and tossing off his old clothes into the trash bin, and stands up to smooth out his suit. The security guard zooms in on the face of the person, and we get to see that it is our survivor before the apocalypse began. Inside of the restaurant, tea is been poured into a cup, with someone asking another person with how far has his company come in the newly developed plan for the game. The other man replies telling him that it has been 100% completed. The man on the other side tells him that it will be needed by tomorrow, to which the other man sitting across from him replies saying 300,000. The young man turned out to be our survivor who had been sneaking around earlier. They both stare at each other in silence for a while before the other man wearing glasses tells the youth that he'll pay him after the event. The youth gets agitated and gnashes his teeth while looking at the man. The older man wearing sunglasses pulls up a USB drive and tells him to use it copy the work, and that he shouldn't allow himself to have a backup of the game data. He also tells him that there should not be any operational records on his computer. Turns out that they're both having a shady deal behind their companies. The youth replies, telling the man that he likes chows, who are cautious and thoughtful, and that he likes to cooperate with such people. We get to know that the word chow means one of the people with the highest ranking authority of an organization. The older man wearing sunglasses lifts his hand to signal the waitress, telling her that he wants the bills. The waitress walks up to them while carrying the bills on a tray. But the youth quickly snatches it while calling the older man Chief Chow and tells him to let him pay this time to save face. The youth takes a look at the receipt and is shocked to find out that the amount is 998 yen. He complains inwardly that the pot of tea is so expensive, and besides he only has 500 yen on his body. He turns to the waitress and asks her if he could pay using Alipay, but the waitress replies no. He also asks her if he could use his debit card, to which she also replies saying no, that he couldn't. He was shocked and then asked how he could pay, and she tells him that he could pay by cash or apply for a VIP card. The older man interrupts them, telling the waitress that he'll pay while lifting up a VIP card. He tells the youth that he could pay some other time, as they both get up to leave while shaking hands. The older man tells him that it seems like it's going to be all right from then on, and that he's looking for more good news from the youth. Outside of the restaurant, we see a garbage collector complain about how the rich people around there are always throwing away a lot of good things, just like the package he was holding. He then throws the garbage bag into the garbage truck and drives off. Outside of the restaurant, we see a sport car parked in front of the restaurant, and the youth from earlier with the older man both walk out, and the young man thinks to himself that the man has a nice Bentley car. The older man turns to him and asks him if he wants a ride with him. Our boy refuses, saying that he brought his own car and that it is packed far away. The older man then tells him that he'll go on ahead. We see our boy waving at him while commenting that he is a slow walker and that it's time for him to go take the package. Our boy Wong walks to where the trash cans are, but finds them empty and gets agitated. He wonders where are the bin bags, and he says that he had left them there while turning to look at the garbage truck driving away in the far distance. He says that it will not be taken away as garbage as he runs towards the garbage truck while shouting for it to stop and wait. High above in space, we see the sun releasing intense solar flare heat towards the Earth. The scene then shifts and we see a plane flying in the sky. Inside of the airplane flying above the Indian Ocean, we hear the pilot calling the tower while telling them that he is calling from the Malaysian Airlines HM770. The pilot tells the watchtower that due to the solar flare radiation that some of the aircraft electronic equipments are abnormal, and that he is requesting for a temporary landing at the closest airport. Inside of the plane, we see the crew attending to the passengers with some requesting for juices, while a person tells one of the crew members that the person sitting beside him looks uncomfortable. The crew member asks him what was wrong when suddenly there was a blood-curdling scream from behind. We see a person bite another man on the neck and tears off his flesh, drawing blood. The other passengers get shocked and scared, which leads them to rise from their seats with some drawing back while asking the attacker why he was biting the man. One of the crew members quickly runs to the cockpit to report to the captain, as she opens the door while explaining that the people outside were going crazy. She is surprised to find that the pilot is lying on the ground in a pool of blood, while the co-pilot is crouching before him, tearing out his organs and feasting on them. With a loud scream from the woman, we get a view from the outside and see the plane plummeting towards the ocean. Meanwhile, back in the city, our boy Wong from earlier is sweating profusely and looking defeated as he complains that his package had something inside of it and stops in front of a store while panting. He tells the store owner besides him to give him a bottle of water. The shopkeeper tells him that the price is 3 yen. Our boy gets shocked and tells the shopkeeper that the amount written on the bottle says that it's 1 yen. The shopkeeper replies, telling him that if he says it's 3 yen, then the price is 3 yen, which leaves our boy dumbfounded by the response, looking embarrassed by the price of the bottled water. Our boy walks away thinking the price is so expensive, taking out his phone to check it, as he had forgot to check for some time now. He is shocked to find 13 text messages, all from someone called Yang Jing. He knows that the person is looking for him to try to get his house rent. Our boy sighs as he has no money, contemplating on whether to return the call or not. The phone suddenly rings, and it's a call from the very Yang Jing. Wondering whether to answer it or not, our boy quickly decides to answer and picks up the call. As it connects, we hear the voice of a female asking multiple questions over the phone in quick successions. Where are you? What did you do? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you pay the rent? Why aren't you talking? Our boy stammers, not knowing what to say. He fires back as he hears the last question and tells the person on the phone that he's busy with his career and earning money. Some other person takes on the phone and asks him about the money, and he says that he'll pay it soon. The person replies, telling him to pay it today. Our boy covers him mouth saying that it's too soon, while the person over the phone tells him that he'll be at his house around 8 p.m. and that he should bring 50,000 yen for his house rent. He tells him that if he doesn't have it, then he shouldn't bother to come back as he'll rent it out to someone else. Our boy is shocked and tells him to hold up, asking him how the amount had become 50,000 yen and if it wasn't 30,000 yen. But the line beeps with the automatic system voice telling him that the other user has hung up. Fuming, our boy cusses him. The scene shifts and we see the sun aligns with the earth. With the alignment, it becomes brighter and releases more solar flares at the earth. On Earth and on the Karakoram mountain range, we see a group of people hiking up the mountain. One of the men keeps panting heavily, seemingly out of breath. The man walks just a few feet and falls to the ground. His colleagues around are surprised and shocked as they quickly crowd around him asking him what was wrong. His friend goes up to him and asks if he has fainted, but the collapsed man just kept murmuring some things and ignores those around him. His friend is unable to hear him clearly and leans in to hear the man murmuring about a meadow. The friend asks him what he means by endless meadow and tells him to speak coherently. The collapsed man stops speaking and then starts growling. All of a sudden he lunges and bites his friend, peeling off a large chunk of the man's face. The injured lets out a shriek of agony which causes an avalanche on the snowy mountain. Back in Marina City and at the Wong Company, we see a man asking if the others had left and turns off the light in the office, leaving the room to plunge into darkness and silence. Below one of the desks in the office, our boy is seen hiding while complaining that he had been hiding there for ages and he was already getting tired. He gets up and walks towards the boss's office door and fortunately finds that it is still open. Otherwise, what he was about to do would have been even more difficult. He reaches behind the flower pot while laughing as no one would have thought that the flower pot behind where the boss always sits has a camera hidden behind it. Connecting the camera with his phone as he sighs that it had caused him a lot of money and effort to buy it. And with this, he should be able to get his boss's password. As he plays the video, he is shocked to find that the video isn't clear and that means that he won't be knowing the password. In his agitation, he knocks off some books off the shelf and cusses. On the ground floor, the man who had turned off the light earlier sees the boss coming in with a female colleague. He comments that it's so late and wonders why the boss was coming back. The boss calls out to him calling him Zaod and asks him if there were still anybody in the company. The man replies saying that there was no one. Back in the office, our boy is anxious as he doesn't know where he had kept something last time and is scared about it getting discovered. In his anxious moments, his phone starts to ring, which increases his anxiety. He looks and sees that it's Yang Jing that's calling. He picks up and yells, telling her that he's busy and have no time to talk. On Yang Jing's side, there comes a call dropped tone which confuses both her and the man standing behind. On hearing the conversation, the man immediately flies into a rage and shouts and tells Yang Jing that since he has hung up the phone, then he'll rent the house out to someone else. As the man strides to leave, Yang Jing holds his arm telling him to wait and let her explain. The man refuses and tells her that there is no need to. On getting to the stairs, the duo see the feet of someone wearing a branded leather shoe who tells them that he's sorry for keeping them waiting. The duo are surprised and turns up to look at the newcomer. They are stunned by his handsome face and expensive clothes, wearing a smile on his handsome face and combed hair. He tells the landlord that he is Yang Jing's boyfriend and that the solar flare radiation had affected his car navigations, which had taken him to the wrong direction. He tells the landlord that as an apology that he brought him some snacks to pay him with. The landlord immediately puts on a friendly face and starts laughing while saying good. Yang Jing at the back had wanted to say something, but the newcomer covers his mouth with his index finger, thereby hushing her. Back in the company, our boy is having a rush as he had entered a wrong password into the computer twice. Just one more wrong password and the computer will be locked. Crossing his fingers and holding his heart in his hands, he types in another password and this one works this time around, opening the computer. He jumps while calling himself a genius. He quickly plugs in the USB that he had gotten from the Bentley driving man from earlier in the day and starts to copy a file from the computer while feeling very nervous, screaming in his mind for the copying to be faster as he did not expect the file to be so large. Two people walk into the office and turns on the light. They are a pair of a man and a woman. The woman asks the man to guess what was in her express delivery, and the man asks her what it was. Our boy hears the sounds and gets the fright of life, with his head about to explode. At a train station, we hear a conductor calling out and telling the staffs to note that from the direction of Beijing West Thesa, that train 221 will be arriving at the station, and it will stop on platform 2, and urges them to get ready. We then see a weak and sick-looking conductor struggling forward while coughing and heaving. A few feet forward and he bends over and starts vomiting. Out of his throat came out blackened blood. A colleague nearby sees this and immediately sprang into action, running towards him while asking him what happened. As the sick-looking man has fallen to the ground, the man gets to his position, stretching out his hand towards him and asking if he was okay. The person on the ground growls, and on hearing the sound of the man nearby, he immediately turns and pounces on him. He bites the face of the unsuspecting man, drawing blood while the injured man lets out a painful blood-churning scream of agony. With the inertia from the bite and a force of zombified man, the wounded man reels back and pulls the zombified man along as they both fall on the train track. Behind them there's a speeding train heading to their location just some few feet away. As they both fall on the track, the train wheels drives past both men's head and crushes it with their head bursting open like a ripe watermelon, thereby painting the rail tracks, walls and body of the train with blood, flesh and brain matters. Back at the Wong Company, the boss and the female worker are seen holding hands and walk straight into the boss's office as the boss tells the female worker to be faster. The female worker with a seductive tone asks the boss if his monkey is anxious, and she hopes no one sees them. The boss reassures her that the office is empty. The female worker tells the boss in a flirting tone that a newly delivered package has just arrived and that it is good-looking. The boss, having been lost in the moment, quickly agrees that it is really good-looking as they both start kissing. Meanwhile, our boy Wong, who has ducked under the table in the boss's office, is panicking. As he sees the boss and the female worker's legs gets to so close as they face each other, he begins to wonder what they were doing before hearing the female worker tell the boss that he is so lightly. Wong immediately gets a nosebleed, and then moaning sounds start coming out of the office. After some time passes, everything became quiet. Wong, on hearing no noise, decides that it is his time to escape. He quickly rolls out from under the table and performs a James Bond stunt, like those from the movie. He opens the office door and is shocked to come face to face with the boss and the female worker. The female worker screams on discovering him, while the boss is wearing her panties on his head to cover his eyes, playing a superhero. On hearing her scream, the boss pushes of the panties from his eyes to see our boy Wong standing there. The boss questions him, asking him what the situation is. Unable to answer, Wong stammers before saying he came to work overtime. Few minutes later, and Wong steps out of a bus with a dejected look on his face. As he walks on the streets while holding his coat with one of his hands in his pocket. He thinks that it's all over now that he has been fired. He cusses his boss while calling him a bastard, calling both the boss and the female worker an adulterous couple. As he thinks that even if he has been fired, he still has to be paid 2 months' worth of salary. And besides, he might broadcast their affair and let the entire company know about them. Getting home and climbing up the stairs to his apartment building, Wong goes into the house and the room is dark with the lights turned off. He walks straight towards the bedroom while complaining that the room is dark and it looks like Yang Jing is not yet back. He tells himself to calm down and just go to bed and forget about the quarrel. Getting to the bedroom, he turns on the lights to change his clothes. As he walks out of the bedroom, the light coming out from the room shines on a person sitting on the chair in the living. On seeing the shadow, Wong gets shocked and immediately puts his hands on his head and starts screaming, shouting that there's a thief. He asks the person what they want to take, and tells them that as long as they don't hurt him, then he won't report to the police. Angrily, Yang Jing calls out his name, Wang Wanda, and tells him that it's her. Our boy Wang hears Yang Jing and tells her not to turn off the lights again, that she had scared him. Yang Jing gets up and tells Wang while stretching out her hand that the family savings and money to buy their house, that he should give them to her now. Wang just dully stated that all the money were gone. Yang Jing asks him with a shout where the money was, and Wang tells her that he put it all into stocks but the results were bad. Yang Jing became hysterical, calling him a cunt, and asks him what about the house. Our boy in his defense tells her that there was news about how the stocks were due to rise, which was true because it did rise at first. Yang Jing screams, saying she gave him all the money but he had secretly lost them all in the stocks. Wang replies, telling her that nobody wants the stocks to fall, and then assures her not to worry, that the stocks will rise again and then they can buy a house. Yang Jing tells him she hasn't even remitted any money so that he father can see a doctor, and asks Wang how she is going to tell this to her parents and how would they view him. Wang, a typical hothead, replies that her parents had never liked him anyway, telling her that the first time he met her mom she had said that he was ugly and her dad even said he doesn't have any talents. Yang Jing angrily tells him that it seems that they were not wrong. Our boy Wang, on hearing this, angrily gets up from the couch, fuming, and screams, "What?" He points toward Yang Jing and asks her how can she said that, when her family is no better than her. A woman never intending to lose in an argument calls his name Wang Wanda and tells him that he was still better than him. Wang gets angry from her comments and lifts his hand to slap her across the face. The heated moments dies down with Yang Jing feeling saddened and tells our boy Wang that they should break up. Some time passes and we see Yang Jing walking alone in the rain while drawing her luggage behind her, her silhouette giving off a lonely vibe. She stops as someone had suddenly appeared before her, calling her Yang Hao and tells her that he had been looking for her. Yang Jing calls his name Hu Haoran and asks him why he was there. Hu Haoran tells her that she had left her phone in his car, so he had come to return it. Yang Jing replies, telling him thank you, and tells him that regarding his money, that she would pay it as soon as possible. Hu Haoran, being a gentleman and a smooth talker, tells her not to be anxious about it and asks why she's carrying her suitcase and where she was going to. Yang Jing replies, telling him that she is planning to go back to the company, and Hu Haoran quickly offers to give her a ride to the bus stop. Contemplating on his response, Yang Jing remembers the scene when Wang had told her to get out of his sight before she finally decides to agree to Hu Haoran's request, thereby telling him thank you. And Hu Haoran opens the car door for her while say you're welcome. Back at Wang Wanda's house, our boy is on the computer with one hand supporting his jaw when his phone starts ringing. He picks up the call panicky and puts the phone to his ear when we hear his mom telling him over the phone that there is a flu going around and tells him to remember to take medicine to prevent it. He answers her okay and tells her to also take some. His mom then asks him if he has gotten the house. Our boy, with fear apparent on his face, answers no. His mom continues on telling him that their power plant leader didn't do anything right and that she just wants to tell him that their other leaders will be coming back soon. She continues that she will only give him this much and that the rest is up for him to raise, and that Yanglan's family is in good condition, and so she didn't pick up on any problems about the house. While listening to all this, our boy gets irritated and suddenly flares up, telling his mom that he can't help it anymore, and besides he is done arguing with her about the house. He then tells her that he has broken up with Yanglan. His mom replies, telling him that Yanglan would make a good daughter-in-law, when suddenly she goes silent for some time, before screaming and asking our boy what did he say and why would he break up with her. Our boy, being a hothead and unable to bear the nagging from his mom for too long, immediately smashes his phone on the ground. The next morning arrives with the sun shyly peeking out from the horizon. At Wang's house, our boy is seen cozily sleeping on the bed before getting up suddenly while shouting that he's late. He then falls back onto the bed while saying to himself that if he doesn't go to work today that he'll be fired, but then says that he wants to sleep in, forgetting about all what had happened last night. 20 minutes later, our boy Wang is seen running towards the company while thinking to himself that he still has to go back to the company to get his things. On arriving at the office building, our boy is dejectedly walking through the office floor, heading towards his desk while thinking to himself that he wanted to enter the company secretly, but now everybody has seen him and it is so embarrassing. From one of the offices, someone calls his name while telling him that the boss wants to see him. He answers okay and then gets a comical look on his face, as he thinks that the reason must be to fire him and wonders if he should sneak away. Resolving himself to it, he decides to go while hoping that the boss will be gentle. Our boy gets to the boss's office looking all humble and meek. Hill calls out to the boss, asking him if he was looking for him while thinking about what the boss was going to do. The boss gets up while shaking our boy's sweaty and nervous hands while congratulating him on his promotion for the new project planning team leader. Wong gets shocked by the sudden development as he thinks whether he has gotten it wrong or not. The boss asks him if he knows what to do, while our boy smiles and thinks if he's dreaming but then realizes that the boss wants to bribe him. He enthusiastically shakes his boss's hand while assuring him that he will not disappoint him. Quickly the boss gets all the workers lined up and holds up Wong while telling the others to please put their hands together for the new team leader Wong Wanda. Our boy, grinning and smiling foolishly, tells everyone thank you while waving his hand. Our boy gets home and starts climbing up the stairs while commenting that today has been a good day and he feels like he can do anything. He quickly brings out his phone while saying that he needs to tell Young Lan about this, but then decides not to as he wants to wait for her to call him first. His phone starts ringing, and he answers the call before hearing someone calling his name through the phone. As he looks at the unfamiliar number, he wonders who it is. He then thinks maybe it is Yang Lan who is using the company's phone to call him. Putting the phone to his ear, he answers saying hey. And then the person over the phone tells him that it is China Chin Kongguan Insurance, and that they have recently launched a new traffic insurance scheme for their old and high-end customers. The person over the phone asks him what kind of transportation does Wong use for his usual travels. Our boy Wong gets ticked and irritated answers, telling him that he uses the wheelchair for his transportation. The man over the phone immediately hangs up while telling him sorry for disturbing him. Over at Yang Lan's house, we see Yang Jing on the bed while lost in thoughts. Her phone rings, and she immediately grabs it thinking it's Wong Wanda who's calling. The person over the phone asks if there's anyone on the line and on hearing Yang Lan calling him Wanda, gets confused. The scene then shifts and we see a man wearing a green short and jacket running through the rain towards the bottom of a bridge while holding something. Turns out that he's a homeless man as he calls out towards his friend, telling him that he has finally returned and that fortunately, the buns are not wet. The man had gone out early to get food, while his friend had waited behind, under the bridge. On not getting a response from his friend, the man calls out to him, asking if he was awake. We see his friend lying still on a chair. The jacket-wearing man tells him to wake up or else he won't get any of the buns. And besides, that's his home that the other man is sleeping in. Not getting a response, the man moves closer to his friend and grabs hold of him, telling him that he's talking to him and asks if he's listening. On getting disturbed, the other person turns over and growls. We see his eyes redden, his pupils diluted to a pinpoint and dark blue veins squirming all over his face with his hair disheveled. It turns out that he has gotten infected and has turned into a zombie. The other man gets shock and the zombified man immediately jumps up and bites his friend on his chin, taking off the entire lower jaw while the injured man lets out a blood-curdling scream of pain. As the scene shifts, we see a phone ringing on a table with leftover food all over the place. Someone moves to pick up the phone but instead dips their hand into the leftovers, leading them to cuss shit. The person turns out to be our boy Wong as he screams that he had gotten burnt and that he should get up now. He says that he can't be late for work as he's now a boss. Turns out that after his promotion, R had gone on a self-treatment spree, enjoying the benefits that comes with his position. Inside of the bus, we see the news on the bus television. And the news broadcast says that a Malaysian airline MH770 passenger plane has been lost, and that the report is coming from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And also a mountaineering team composed of well-known entrepreneurs, when climbing the Karakoram mountain range, suffered an avalanche. On a close-up look on our boy, we see him looking pale from having held his breath for a long time while sweating profusely. It seems like he may have to get off as he needs to use the restroom. Somewhere else, a man who is sweating like a rat that got drenched is staring forward in silence and confusion. What he's looking at happens to be a woman who has been zombified in a horde of zombies. Both of her eyes are looking off at different directions. The man swallows and immediately takes off running while asking what happened. As he runs, he cusses no one in particular as he calls them evil sons of bitches and wonders if the chemical plant had exploded again. The man, having put some distance between him and the zombies, turns back to taunt them while laughing, saying that they can't catch up with him and tells them to go die. Out of nowhere, A mutated zombified dog jumps out baring its fangs and immediately bites the running man on his leg. With the force and weight behind the dog, the man immediately falls to the ground with the zombie dog clinging and chewing on his leg. The man cusses and asks himself why he had said what he said earlier to jinx himself. He shouts for the zombie dog to get off him and immediately starts using his other leg to kick at the dog. The zombie dog doesn't let go and becomes more aggressive. As the man starts getting weaker due to the zombie virus infection spreading through his bloodstream, he starts hearing the voice of his wife calling him honey. The voice calling him keeps getting stronger and stronger as he gets more weaker until he falls into a hallucination and sees his wife shaking him, calling him honey, and tells him to wake up that he is having a nightmare. The man tells his wife that he is awake and asks her what happened. The wife looks at her husband and calls him honey again and asks if he had a nightmare. The man consoles his wife, telling her not to worry and that he is fine. He tells her that there's no need to worry while grinning happily. The wife tells him that he's fine now but he kicked her leg, and now it hurts. The man gets shocked and looks at her leg, finding it to be bruised and swelling. He tells her that it must be because her leg was on top of his and then wonders out loud that the dog he had kicked in his dreams was actually her leg. As they joke about it, they both hear a banging noise coming from their door. They both get startled, with the wife asking if someone is knocking. The man tells her that today is Halloween, so the person knocking has to be there for candy. They both put on their Halloween costumes, with the wife wearing the head of a horse and the husband wearing the head of a werewolf. They get to the door and upon opening it, they are faced with 3 zombies with grotesque faces and blood-stained eyes. The woman comments that they were wearing good Halloween costumes. But the man says it's not only good, but that their zombie costumes are top class. The zombies pounce on them and start tearing them apart with the couple screaming for them to get away. We then see the aerial view of the city and we see that many buildings are on fire, with thick smoking rising from them. Multiple explosions, noises, and cries for help mixed with the sirens of the police could all be heard as the city descend into chaos.